The Opinion Line on Cork's 96 FM.
There's a new website. Well, it's been around for a bit now, but it's gaining a bit of traction, and glad to see it. It's called HomeHak.ie. And I had a browse and look through it this morning. It brings the letting agent, the providers of accommodation, the home, people looking for a home, people looking to be tenants, brings them all together under one website. And you'd be amazed at the amount of empty space that is out there unfilled. You'd also be amazed at the number of people looking for a place, not just the people in Chorister's house in a few weeks' time, but there's loads of others coming to Cork looking for a place to stay and a place to live. And the whole thing under one umbrella at HomeHak.ie. Pat Drynan is the director, and he joins me. Pat, explain for me the principle of this, because I've never seen anything like it before. Good morning.
Good morning, PJ, and thank you very much for having us on. Well, the principle is quite straightforward when you think about it. There is one process that's been out in the world for 30 years for renting a home, which is a property gets advertised, and then 20 to 40,000 people in Cork, for example, will see the ad. And the average landlord or letting agent in Cork will get 500 to 1,000 applications.
Wow.
And out of that, maybe 20 to 40 might get to walk around the home, 3-bedroom house, and then 3 people get to sleep in the house. And we looked at that and thought that's not a decent way of doing business in this day and age. 20 to 40,000 people see an ad for a 3-bedroom house and 3 people end up in it. So what we did was we turned the model upside down and we make it about people. So on our platform, we help people to put out there who they are, what they're looking for, and we make it about them. And then when a landlord or a homeowner or a letting agent has a particular property they want to rent out, and you just pick somebody and invite them over one by one in a much more discreet way.
Let's look at 2 scenarios, Pat. So I have a house or an apartment that I want to rent out. That's the first scenario. The second scenario is I'm a young professional, or I'm a student, or I've just arrived in Cork for a new job and I need a place to stay. Explain for me how HomeHak works with both of those scenarios.
Okay, we'll assume that the house or apartment is an entire unit that you want to rent out as opposed to a room for the moment.
Okay.
We'll come on to talk about the room in a second. So in that situation, you can go onto the platform right now and you can see who it is that's looking for a place just like you. And you simply go to the tenant selector on the top of the page. You type in the area code of the apartment that you're looking to rent out and press search. Up come the people who have said they want to live near that area code. And why do they want to live near there? Because they probably work just down the street, or their kids go to school nearby and they want a short commute to the school or something like that. And so we make the process of finding people who are ideal for your property as simple as that. The other scenario you asked about was you're a student, you're coming to Cork, and you want to find a home. You simply start out by preparing your tenant CV on HomeHak. It'll cost you nothing, and you put it up there, and it demonstrates you as an organized person. And all we're doing is helping you collect your information, organize it, put it in there in a safe place, and then you are there ready to apply for houses, number one, but also on Tenant Selector, and HomeHak Tenant Selector, people can select you.
Why has no one thought of this before, Pat Drynan?
Well, there is a very dominant industry out there in the property advertising world, and it's been that way for 30 years, and it's not easy to break into it, PJ. We started this 3.5 years ago. The Cork people are wonderful to support their own, and so the agents came on board because it made sense to there's some agents that are, the letting agents are very people oriented, and people when they engage with them will know. And I'm going to name check, Sherry Fitz and D&G and Trading Places, people like that, and Siobhan Mullins up there in Mallow. So they gave us a great boost, and Absolute Properties the same way. Then in February of this year, 2023, we were awarded Cork Business of the Year by the Cork Business Association.
Congratulations on that one.
Thank you. It gave us a great boost, PJ, because we thought, you know what, there's traction here. There's something in this. We need to kind of step it up. And we're now inviting tenant CVs in Dublin, in Galway, in Limerick, and we're also inviting on to accommodation providers that want a more trustworthy process. Instead of inviting 1,000 strangers to come into your house, now they can put up their property and they can see who it is and do a better job of engaging.
There's an untapped resource of living space there. When we see the statistic that here in Cork, there's something like 45,500 households have one or two bedrooms. There's an awful lot of space there to be rented out, and the government have made 14,000 tax-free income on the table for anyone who wants to do it. So is that a space in which you can help?
Absolutely. For the first time, the CSO asked the question on the Census 22 form. They've always asked how many rooms in your house, but they now asked a little subcategory, how many bedrooms in your house? We got the data only a week ago, and we analysed it, and the statistics are startling. 45,500 houses in Cork City and County have 2 bedrooms with nobody sleeping in them. That's 91,500 bedrooms that nobody sleeps in every night in houses with 2 or more bedrooms. And even more striking is the fact that there are more than 12,000 homes with 3 bedrooms. That's 36,000 bedrooms unoccupied. So a lot of people don't want to invite somebody into their house, and that's absolutely fine. But there's a lot of people out there, maybe they're feeling a little bit lonely, or they'd like more security, or the idea that somebody will come home after work in the evening. And frankly, a lot of people could do with the extra income. And a lot of times people don't want to advertise their house on a public website. So what we said was, we will put up all the organised people on our platform, and you will be able to invite them one-on-one to your house. And PJ, the success has come from where they recognise their own Mary or Jim or John or Joe or Megan that went off to college and then got a job, went to Dublin, they rented a house. Or they went off to New York and they rented a house. And now when they actually see somebody with a story, they can invite them over one-on-one. And it's the same thing now in the healthcare. We have a huge campaign in Cork City right now for healthcare workers. They're bringing hundreds of staff into the city. Thank goodness they're choosing Cork. But they're actually losing hundreds out the same way who cannot, number one, find accommodation, and number two, if they can find it, they cannot afford it. And I have examples here in front of me that I've been talking to this morning. Tanya, she's quite happy for me to say, she has a job in CUH and she's a nurse. She has the job since the 1st of August. She's moving from Kerry, just from Kerry, not from India or the Philippines or Poland or someplace the other side of the world, from Kerry. She cannot take up the job because she needs a house for 4 people, herself and her husband, who's also a healthcare assistant, and their 2 little boys. And would you believe the 2 boys have 2 places in 2 schools in the Model Farm Road and in Bishopstown, accepted, but they can't find a house to live in. They can get into the schools, but not into the houses. So there's Tanya, and there's Maria. She's helping people every day in the chemo unit, a healthcare assistant. And she has 2 little boys as well, 7 years of age, twins. And she's looking for over 6 months for a home, and she'll pay €1,700, but she just cannot get selected. So what we're helping is she's on the Cork University Hospital page on HomeHak, and she's hoping somebody will select her for a home. The list is endless.
Come back to what you said about, inviting strangers into your home. I can remember when I went to college, Pat, it was quite common for people. My best friend stayed in Diggs, who's Kerryman, stayed in Diggs out in Model Farm Road. Times have changed now, and people are afraid to open their door to somebody they don't know, and they're even more afraid to let that person go upstairs and stay in bedrooms. These are rational fears that people have. How do you combat that through HomeHak?
Well, I'll tell you how. When you put up an ad on a property website and 1,000 people apply, you have no idea who in the world is going to show up at your door. That's what we're changing. You must create a HomeHak tenant CV. And what does that do? If you're a healthcare worker, PJ, they're interviewed to an inch of their life. They're Garda vetted. There is a teacher, a primary school teacher, searching for a home on HomeHak right now. She needs a home somewhere in the Carrigtwohill area. What we're changing here and inviting, if you're talking about inviting people into your own house, we bring trust into it. Every person who you see, you can see on there a little tag that says ID verified by Stripe. And we've provided that because we want people to have that assurance that they've had to show their passport and driving license to the system, to the platform HomeHak. That was unique. We're the first in Ireland to do that. And second of all, we ask every homeowner, landlord, letting agent to also do the ID verification, because we're also railing against the scourge that is rental fraud.
Sounds like you're doing great work. HomeHak, HAK.ie is the website.
Yes, thank you, PJ. And right now we've just issued 5,000 postcards to the people within 2 and 3 kilometres of CUH, the Mercy, the South Infirmary, in Cork, to say, look, if you ever thought about giving up a room in your house, there's a phone number on the postcard. I'll read it out if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
021 229 6677. 021 229 6677. Or just go to HomeHak.ie or .com and just start out the process. If you're in trouble, there's a big question mark on there. Just press it and it helps. You'll see us on the bus stops around, some of the bus stops around Cork during September now to raise awareness. Okay. And we just want people to take the first step and say, yeah, maybe somebody like my own son or daughter or my own nephew or niece, maybe we'll take somebody like that in for 6 months, for a year, and we'll help out the healthcare staff, the teachers, the doctors, the dentists. And you know what? A lot of the students, they're just regular ordinary students, regular ordinary kids, the same as your own, and they don't cause any bother. In fact, they want to be outside of your house. You'll hardly see them if you take them into digs. There isn't enough places right now for all the students.
There's a huge shortage, and we're going to hear so much more about it over the next few weeks. We will happily, at this programme, direct people to HomeHak.ie. I've really enjoyed our conversation, Pat, and the best of luck with what you're doing.
Thank you very much, PJ, and thank you for your support as well. You've had a good few programmes about